Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozsef chess channel and welcome to my basics in chess series. So in this series we follow opening principles, middle game strategies and the endgame strategies. Today we're continuing with some middle game strategies again. Today I'll start sort of a mini series in the middle game strategies. Today we'll talk about this common attacking themes in the middle game. So the common attacking themes in the middle game are strategical elements which you should apply when you get these types of positions. So today we're starting this mini series with this fianchetto bishop. We're playing against the fianchetto bishop and our theme will be the queen and bishop battery against this fianchetto bishop. So the queen and bishop battery is this setup that I've already prepared here for you. It's the queen and bishop aiming against this fianchetto bishop. So when your opponent is trying to create this fianchetto to get this really dangerous bishop, one of the main strategic ideas can be this this queen and bishop battery in order to trade off the bishops and create weaknesses in your opponent's position, because the fianchetto bishop, first of all, the defensive function of the fianchetto bishop is this protection of squares. So it means this dark square bishop is of course the key defender of dark squares in front of the king. So by getting rid of the dark square bishop, we are creating more weaknesses in black's position, for instance, in this particular game. So that's how you should maybe try to attack your opponent, and by getting rid of the bishop, then maybe create a flank attack. A flank attack is also a common idea in the fianchetto bishop setups, and one of the main strategical elements is of course removing the last defender in front of the king. So it means the last defender in this position is also the knight. So the main idea could be here knight to d5, getting rid of this knight which is the defender of the h7, and simply create this flank attack and try to open the position. So the main idea in the fianchetto setups is to open the position, to open files, open diagonals, open ranks, open the position and get your opponent even checkmated if the position allows it. So the first instructive game that I wanted to show you today, it's a game played by Mikhail Tal against Antoni Saidi. All of the games that I've showing you here will be in the description below, so you can maybe watch the whole games, analyze them for yourself. So you see, we have here one of the best tacticians playing Mikhail Tal, and he applied this queen and battery setup. So this is now our main theme today, the queen and bishop battery. So in the game, bishop to h6 played by Mikhail Tal immediately. We have rook to e8, trying to get out of this potential trades of bishops by this move bishop to h8, and here Mikhail Tal simply took off the bishop. Here we have king takes g7, and now we are continuing our common flank attack. We have knight to b3, we have c takes b3. Here Mikhail Tal tries to get this pawn structure symmetrical so that black cannot open the position on the queen side. Here rook to h8 was played, also a common idea, because we want then to have, if the position opens, maybe with h5 and then h takes g6, we want to have this h6 square protected. Here h5 played by Mikhail Tal. Anyway, there are some tactical threats. If you take, for instance, knight takes h5, rook takes h5, g takes h5, and here knight to d5, knight to f5 are these tactical threats. So this knight will be really dangerous. Queen to g5 is also an idea, so it will be again maybe very dangerous with these two knights and the queen against this king only. So black has to be careful. Here after the move h5 we have bishop to d7, a simply developing move, and now king to b1, also common idea to improve the position of the king. We have queen to b6 and now knight to d5. Now Mikhail Tal applies this attack again to remove the last defender. Here of course with an attack also against this e7 pawn, so that's why knight takes d5, e takes d5 was played, and now rook to e8. We have g4, simply continuing our flank attack. a5, queen to c3 with some discovered attack possibilities maybe against the queen, so that's why f6 has to be played. But this f6 move again weakens the pawn structure even further. So here queen to e3 played by Mikhail Tal. Now the threat is of course knight to e6, discoverably attacking the king and the queen, and it will be a lost game. So that's why queen to d8 was played, and now f4, simply playing straightforward. I really like this style by Mikhail Tal. Of course, Mikhail Tal, the magician from Riga, one of the best tacticians in chess history. Bishop takes g4. He allowed his opponent. That's what I meant. You should also also sometimes sacrifice something just in order to open files, open diagonals, open ranks. Here f5, simply continue to push, and here we have e5 trying to close the position on dark squares, but now we have first h takes g6. Now the threat is of course queen to h6. As I said, we are attacking the dark squares, so because we get rid of this very annoying dark square bishop, now black has several threats here on dark squares. So that's why h5 was played, but now knight to e6, the fork on the queen and the king, and you have to of course take out with the rook. Rook takes e6, and here f takes e6. I'm not going to show you now the whole game. It was very clear that black has some problems here in the game. Bishop to d1 was played, but now we have this very important in between check. King takes g6, and now after rook takes d1, there are really some nasty threats now. Rook to g1, even queen to f7, and after many moves, but Mikhail Tal won the game. I'm just wanted to show you how Mikhail Tal opened the position by sacrificing some pawns, getting this other pawns rolling, opening the position against black's king, using the dark square problems that white has created. So it was really a great attack by the legendary magician from Riga. So let's see now another game. It's a game played by Boris Gulko against Jozsef Horvath. Here Boris Gulko played the move rook to d1, and it allowed now Jozsef Horvath to play on immediate attack with the move queen to f5, attacking the bishop. After the bishop retreated, we have here bishop to e2 and attacking the rook, but it's not about that rook. We of course black can prevent this, but after rook to e1, we have again bishop to e5 attacking the queen, but now with a very important move bishop to f3. Again, we are creating this queen and bishop battery just in order to get rid of this key defender. It's the bishop on g2. Now we are trying to create even more weaknesses in white's position. And what to do here? If you don't trade off the bishop, if you try something like bishop to f1, then again we will try h5 h4, open the position somehow. Maybe knight to g4, also very important move, because this knight on a4 is very far away from the defense of the king. So we have now more attackers than white has defenders here. At least these minor pieces are not in front of the king. So now bishop to f3 is a common move here in order to get rid of this light square bishop and create again this light square weaknesses in white's position. So here bishop takes e5 was played. Now knight to e4 with the counter attack. First the queen has to retreat, queen to c2, and now rook to e5. We have knight to c5, and here creating a battery on the e file with the rooks. Bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, knight to e4. We have d takes e4, and here white tries to keep a compact position, but there are really now some serious threats. h5 h4, as I said, just in order to open the position. You see how dangerous this trades of bishop was here. Queen takes c6 was played, which was basically a mistake. Maybe better ideas to try here to trade off the queens, because you cannot get checkmated if the queens are off the board. So that's why here maybe a mistake by white, but now we are attacking simply further with the move h5, queen to d7, and now rook to e6, closing the queen. The queen cannot participate anymore in the defense. You have some troubles of course on the 8th rank, but at least you can escape. Here Jozsef Horvath has played on a very cool idea, I think, to get his king on g6. The king on g6 will be perfectly fine. Here rook to c8, king to h7, another problem, and now we have rook to f8 attacking the pawn. Here rook to f5 protecting the pawn, and now rook to f1 and simply pushing forward. Here in the game queen to d8 was played, but now simply h takes g3. We have h takes g3, and now king to g6. This king is very well placed here. It's not endangered at all. The only king on the board that's endangered, it's white's king, because now we have even some threats to play rook to h5 and creating checkmate threats here on h1. That's why rook to h8 was played, and now rook from e to f6. We have rook to h4, and here I want you to pause the video and try to find the best next move. It's a really nice sacrifice, and it's game over here for white, because here Jozsef Horvath played on a very attractive idea. Queen takes g3, sacrificing the queen. After f takes g3, we have rook takes f1, king to g2, but now or rook to f2, and it's game over, because in the next couple of moves you're going to get checkmated. Here we have the possibility, then after that rook to h1. Here if you try king to g4, we have f5, and it's game over. So great attack here by Jozsef Horvath. You see how important it was to get rid of these key defenders. Let's see now another example. Again, we have here a position in which black made maybe an unnecessary move, play the move g6. Maybe a better idea is to play h6. It's a game played by Emanuel Lasker against José Raúl Capablanca, so two former world champions. And here Emanuel Lasker uses immediately the moment, because here black tried this fianchetto, so that's why in the next move he tried simply bishop to e5, getting rid of the key defenders. Now white will, black will continue the game with a bad bishop, because you see all of these pawns are on like squares, and here the bishop as the key defender of dark squares here is threatened to be exchanged. Now after bishop to e5, here bishop to g7 was played, but now again at this idea of this flank attack h4, here we have queen to d8, but not a problem. We are simply trying to open the position. Here queen to g5 was played, but now bishop takes g7, king takes g7, and now rook to e5, of course attacking the queen. The queen has to retreat, queen to e7, and now creating again this battery with its rooks. So you see again black has really some troubles, because f6, if you try maybe to kick away the rook, then you create further weaknesses here on g6. So you see this delaying idea of Emanuel Lasker to not immediately trade off the pawns is a very good one, because now we have still some attacking possibilities against the square g6, maybe even some tactical threats with bishop takes g6 by sacrificing the bishop. And here in the game rook to g8 was played. Now queen to c1, we're trying to sneak in somehow with the queen. Here maybe queen to f4, maybe something like queen to g4. In the game rook from a to d8 was played, and now rook to e3, very important idea, because now we want to bring on our rook here on the g file, and maybe again create some discovered attacks against the king. Bishop to c8, we have rook to h3. Now the idea is of course to take out, and then using again this dark square problems that we have created earlier. Here king to f8 was played, and now queen to h6, the rook covered here, but now finally h takes g6, we have h takes g6, and now bishop takes g6. A very nice idea here by Emanuel Lasker. Of course you cannot take with the rook. Here if you try f takes e6, then you get rook to f3. It's very dangerous, so you can also here be attacked first of all with the move queen to h8. So many tactical possibilities here for white. In the game queen to f6 was played, but now rook to g5, again protecting this very important bishop. Again if you take out, then you get rook to f3. So in the game king to e7 was played, here rook to f3. Anyway, we have queen takes f3, and now g takes f3. I'm not going to show you the whole game. I hope you realize this is simply winning for white. Still you can of course take the bishop, but it's not a problem. In the game you continue the game with better material, and it's basically resignable for black. So you see how important this idea is to get rid of this key defender of this fianchetto bishop. If your opponent creates that, this could be really one of your main strategical ideas in the continuation of the game. So let's see now another game. Here it's a game played by Philippe Duchatel against Paul van der Sterren, and here white tried e takes f5. Here bishop takes f5 was played, and now rook takes f5. That's what I meant, to create these weaknesses, because if you of course take knight takes f5, then your knight on c6 is hanging. So that's why g takes f5 had to be played, but now queen to h5. Now we are again trying this battery. Bishop to h6 is the main idea, to get rid of this key defender of this bishop on g7, and maybe try something like knight to g5, and then even some checkmate threats on h7. So that's why b takes c3 first was played. We have bishop takes c3. Now we are trying to trade off the bishops through another square with the move bishop to c3. So that's why knight to d4 was played, but now
knight to e3, very important move with the idea to somehow attack this f5 weakness. So knight to g6 was played, bishop to d5, very important move, also activating all of our pieces. Bishop to f6, we have rook to a7. Now the pieces are really playing in harmony. All of the pieces are now in attacking formation, so it's a very important thing in chess to get a huge activity with all of your pieces on the board. Knight to b5, attacking the rook, but now first bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, and now immediate checkmate threat, knight to g5. Now we get rid of this very important bishop. Here h6 was played. We have knight to f7, very nice idea with some discovered attack possibilities. This bishop is very, very dangerous. So in the game, knight takes a7 was played, but now knight takes h6 with the discovered check. We have double check here, king to g7, but now knight to f5, and in this position black resigned because you don't have anything else. You have to take out the knight and it's game over. So you see, these are the main ideas when you see that your opponent is creating this fianchetto. As said, calculate everything, try to see these weaknesses, try to get rid of this dark square or light square bishops, creating weaknesses in your opponent's position. Get rid of other defenders, and don't be scared maybe to sacrifice even something, because you see, by creating fianchettos, for instance, we have the pawn structure h6, h7, g6, and f7. Your opponent has already weakened the pawn structure. That's the main idea. And by creating the fianchetto here, maybe on g7, if we get rid of this fianchetto bishop, then it's already a weakened pawn structure, and you can really try some great attacking formations against these types of setups of your opponents. Okay, I hope you realize these ideas, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. We'll continue now in this series to create more of these attacking themes. This will be, I think, a very important subject here on my YouTube chess channel. Meanwhile, you can watch my other commented, Basics in Chess series with some more opening principles, middle game strategies, and the end game strategies. And you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.